Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're listening and watching us. You're watching me live here on my YouTube channel. I'm LaDarius with the Sports in the World podcast, and I'm here back once again, friend of the show. Well, absolutely one of my favorite guests. Always love having on from FanDuel, the amazing Gabb. The last name I'm going to
Goudy, it's fine.
Goudy because
Listen,
I
you
don't.
could again, you could say it any way you want to, and I'd be like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah, it's what I say with my first name because people like if people say Ladare, they shorten it to like LB or LD, and it's like
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, we
yeah,
got the
it's
letters
great.
in there, the initials, great.
However you want to say it,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
Like,
how you're gonna
well,
say
only thing I want to get it right is on my paycheck. Just make sure my full name and
it.
stuff is on there.
Right.
Direct deposit. That's all I worry about. The initial stuff in public, that doesn't bother me at all. But thank you so much for coming on. And how have you been since the last time we spoke?
It's been great. Basketball season. We're right into the playoffs. MLB just getting started a month in. That's been really good too. Football, I'm not really concerned with that at the moment. But hey, it's there.
It's there. It
It's
exists.
there.
It
Yeah.
exists out there in the world. But with that, let's do dive into the NBA playoffs. When you look at the West, we already have two sweeps. We saw OKC sweep New Orleans. We saw Minnesota take
Mm,
care of Phoenix, 3-1. Denver taking care of Los Angeles. We'll talk about LeBron in that in a little bit. Clippers, interesting 4-5 matchup. With the Clippers in Dallas, 2-2 playing tonight. It's all, and you go out west. It feels kind of like we basically a lot of teams up 3-1, 3-2. So I'm curious to get your thoughts first on the playoffs, how you're seeing it play out. We all had favorites kind of going in like, you know, see has that changed? And then later on the second question, your thoughts on LeBron and the Lakers getting eliminated. So let's start with your thoughts on the NBA playoffs thus far.
it's been boring and exciting at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. Like some games are really really good, and then the other ones I'm like, here we go. I guess I gotta watch this. I'll add my own Cleveland Cavaliers into the I guess I gotta watch this category because none of those games have been good until the one last night, which
Mm-hmm.
that was a little too close for comfort for me. But that's another thing that we don't even need to go down. So I can go on a rant for a long time about them, but I don't think anyone wants that. So at least we got one entertaining game out of that. Sixers, Knicks, that's been pretty entertaining. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
I kind of feel the same way. And me being down here in Florida, with Orlando,
mm-hmm.
I saw the game, and I don't know if I can say this, being down here in Florida, but that like the Evan Mobley, that last play, I think it was Wagner. I forgot who drove it down, and just seeing Mobley just like to
Yeah.
me, it was a great game. To your point, we had like a healthy mix of like we get some blowouts and then we get some great ones.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's great, it's really great, and when it's
Mm-hmm.
bad, it's really bad.
It's really bad.
Like there's no like it's like nothing in the middle. It's like one half's great, one half's bad. We kind of get that like in the middle, one way or the other sort of situation. So kind of with that being said, we'll get the predictions on the end, but I do want to talk about something that's I think you talked about and something that interests me. When we talk about like the Lakers, you know, being done, and talking about like LeBron's future because it's interesting because and I'll get your thoughts. I'm not 100% sold he's going back to LA. Like people think it's an automatic kind of like lock. He's going to go back to LA, but I don't see it as a lock. And maybe I may be in the minority on that, but I'm curious to get your thoughts because I personally don't. If you ask me today, I'm split. Like I'm 50-50 whether he stays in LA or not because it just feels like LA could go in a completely different direction with it. Because at this point, like they won their bubble championship back in 2020, and it kind of feels like, well, that's kind
Yeah.
of it. Like it's like there's no like we're not building long term, especially with guys like AD and LeBron. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on uh, what do you think what happens to with LeBron and overall your just thoughts on could we see him back back in the land?
I don't think he's going to come back to Cleveland. I'm setting myself with low expectations because I would really like to see it. That's all I know. My whole entire life growing up was LeBron James plays for my basketball team. He's really good. LeBron James plays for the Heat. He's really good. LeBron James plays for my basketball team again, and he's really, really good. And he's going to be 40 years old, but he was carrying that Lakers team. So I get people are saying, "Oh, he's 40. Why would you want him on his? Why would you want them?" But like, who's better than him? Not that many players.
Yeah, that's Gab, you raise a good point, because when you look, even when you look at his numbers, even if you say, let's just say it's to his standards, we could argue a down year, but anybody else would literally take his numbers at 40.
Right.
And it's like for LeBron, sure, that's when you look at his stats, that looks like a down year, but I guarantee it literally, people would take his numbers and people say, oh man, that's a great season, that's a successful season. And I kind of always feel like with LeBron, we don't consider, and like people get into this debate, LeBron and MJ, and I've said this, and I'll just say this really quickly. I've always said that we've always compared LeBron to the wrong person. I say we should not compare him to Michael Jordan, because to me, it's not to say that it's not fair, but it doesn't feel right to me. I've always said, when I look at LeBron, I think that to me, the best comparison to me is Magic Johnson. And I tell people that when you look at both number one overall picks, both could have played all 5 positions on the basketball court, both multiple championships. And I felt that's the better comparison, because when I see LeBron, I'm like, well, LeBron could play. If LeBron could play the 5, LeBron could play any position on the basketball court. And I think sometimes we get lost in the conversation about, well, who LeBron's the GOAT. We have to look at it generationally. Like LeBron's, it's LeBron. It's like when we do, like for MJ, great player of his generation, LeBron, great player of his generation. And I think sometimes people kind of just want to compare the two. They want to say, well, MJ never did this, and LeBron, oh, well. I argue this. Look how many finals, and people are like, oh, well, I don't care about the down years in the East. Like, look how many finals it takes. Look how impressive that is. And it's the same thing like Tom Brady. Look how many Super Bowls he did.
I feel like
no, go ahead.
Like making it to the finals and losing is more detrimental to your legacy than being eliminated in the first round.
Yeah.
Because that's all you hear about.
Yeah.
How many did he go to in a row? 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, he didn't win them all, so we can't quantify that as something good. We have to use that against him, even though he was there and other people were not there. I don't know. Yeah. It's dumb. It's so dumb.
Yeah. It's to the point where I think, and to me, and I've said this, when I look back at all the teams, who's been to the finals, I look at LeBron's team that he took, I think early in his career, like his
2007, that team was trash.
I'm like, if you could name any other player outside of LeBron, with Larry Hughes, I can't even off the top of my head, like no disrespect to like Larry Hughes, Eric Snow, no, but to me, I compared that to like what Allen Iverson when he took the Sixers to the finals. It's like when you take it, like LeBron literally just took that team, and just took it to the finals literally on his own. And it's not a knock on MJ because he had Scottie. Like, I'm not mitigating, but like we have to understand, LeBron literally did it. You couldn't name a player outside of LeBron on that 2007 squad that went to the final. And to me, just the way he played the whole entire playoff, it's like he got to the finals. It's like we're knocking a guy who got to the pinnacle of his sport in the championships, not at such a pace. Like when we look at Tom Brady, it's impressive. Tom Brady's playing what 10% of the Super Bowls almost, and we don't look at like, but it's a team sport. Yeah, sure, but we have to understand like not everybody can do that. And like LeBron is like one of those players I always say is that we're gonna, when he's done, I don't know if it's gonna be
it's gonna be the worst day of my life.
It's gonna be like we're gonna see like this gaping hole. And we got to appreciate what we're like when you're watching greatness. It's like when you're like whoever your favorite musical, like you're watching greatness, like on stage, like take it in, embrace it, because you may never, ever have that again. And it's kind of like that with Tom Brady. Like, he keeps coming back. we're never going to see another Tom Brady. Probably, like, luckily for us, we were blessed to see it. We can't speak for the next generation. If we're looking at Mahomes, is probably the closest thing people will probably ever get. So with LeBron, I just say just be. If you don't, I'll put it like this: if you don't like him, cool, but you have to respect what he did on the court. That's what I always say. You can think LeBron, the person, is not great. Listen, there are too many examples of where terrible people, great player, vice versa. But with LeBron, you can't deny that he belongs in the GOAT conversation. He belongs in the Mount Rushmore conversation because
he's done it all.
Exactly.
He's done it all. Like, if you hate on LeBron as a basketball player, I got to question a lot of other things in your life.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, I get it if you were like a Warriors fan, but I mean, you guys won all those titles. Or if like LeBron beat your team, I get it. But if you're just being a hater and saying like he's not a good basketball player, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Yeah. If somebody tells me that, I'm like, clearly you've been under a rock. You haven't watched the man play. It's like,
yeah, you're just being a hater.
It's like you can break down his career, and you alluded to it with the Cavs the first time, then the Heat. Then I could argue the second time with the Cavs is right there with the Heat.
Yeah, like, I think the Heat was probably his best like span of playing.
Yeah,
but like, the second Cavs was like my favorite. But like, yeah,
it's so good though. It's amazing that you can just take his career and just break it down like that. That's how great he is.
Or just different playoff runs. Like, which one was the best one? There's so many that we can go through and say, oh, this was really good. That was really good. Oh, that one's really good too.
Mm-hmm. And I think
so many different things.
Yeah, and people get kind of lost, and it's like, listen, not a lot of players you can take down, literally break down their career, and like,
yeah,
we could argue, oh, well, he had to go to this place. I'm like, I don't like that argument either. He wasn't chasing ring. Listen,
I agree.
If he was legitimately chasing rings, there's dudes that for a fact chase rings. Like, we can go into a list of names, but listen, I don't want to keep you here all night. So yeah. But there's a list of people we could name that we could say, oh yeah, they were definitely chased a ring at the back end of their career.
Also, like, I don't care about loyalty. Like, I'm over loyalty. These players do not have to be loyal to these teams. I'm sorry, they don't. Like, the owners are not loyal to them. As much as I want people to stay on my favorite team forever, I get it. It's a business. It's what you got to do. Like, this is not basketball, but like, look at Mike Trout. Like, one of the greatest baseball players ever. And his winning percentage in his career is awful.
Yeah.
Because he just wants to just stay there. He doesn't need to be loyal. He shouldn't be loyal. He should go somewhere else. But that's what it is.
Yeah, if Mike Trout went to the Angels and said, I want to be traded.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, to your point, loyalty is great. No one's knocking it.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, there has to be a part of you that kind of goes,
right,
I do want to be on a team that means, I want to have some meaningful, seasons.
Yeah, and, like Dame.
Yeah. It's like at some point, you're like, and I got upset about, like, when Dame was with Portland. And I went on social media, I went on Twitter and said, look, I understand I get it, my guy. I get it. But at some point, Portland's basically there. You can stay there and win 45 games a year.
Knock down the first round, maybe not make the playoffs. Like,
yeah. And you're in a very competitive Western Conference, and you're just never going to be, like, look at how many, like, when you look at the time he's made an All-Stars, like, if he was in the East, his numbers would look better. And to your point, like, if I'm Mike Trout, look, at some point in his career, I hope it's not too late, go somewhere where
in surgery now.
Yeah, and it's like, he's going to be a player that he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and we're going to look at his career and go, man, the Angels did absolutely nothing. And people argue, well, he takes up the money. I don't buy that. It's like he's literally playing 162 essentially, and getting hurt, literally doing all he can, and because he was loyal, and people are like, oh well, he doesn't owe. He doesn't owe. It's like the argument with LeBron when LeBron left Cleveland the first time. What does he owe?
He didn't owe us anything. just because he was born in Ohio, like he didn't owe us anything. He came back and he did something really awesome and great for us, which I'm absolutely grateful for. But like we weren't owed that.
Yeah,
but we got it, but we weren't owed that. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. And
it just makes me really mad because like it's the same thing if people go to like, let's say we're applying for a job somewhere.
Mhm.
What if we get offered a job in a different city outside of where we're from, being paid all kinds of money more, a better opportunity than we have here? Like that's out of our control. We're obviously going to do that. You don't have to stay where you're from forever. People move all the time. He didn't have to stay here. He just somehow it happened that he got drafted here, which was awesome, but he doesn't owe us that.
Yeah. And I think people tend to forget that. Like, listen, and I also argue before we transition is that, listen, sometimes moving can do wonders for you in a way. Like, listen, it's great that you want to stay and be loyal, but at some point, if you want to grow, you kind of go somewhere else. Whether it's like shifting careers, you've seen people shift careers, and it's like it's not like they didn't like their other career. It's just like the other career, and we've had moments like that. Hey, we were going to be doctors, and now people talking about like it's not like we didn't want to be doctors. It's like we just want to do. It's okay to move. It's okay to move, whether throughout your career, move to different cities, and I think in sports, especially when we talk about guys like LeBron, I never saw it as listen. He didn't move to chase rings. He moved because hey, he did what was best for LeBron. And at the end of the day, what he gave to any city, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's LA, or whether it's Miami, it can't be denied that he left an impact on that city and on that franchise. Like we could argue, like, listen, my guy could have banner if you wanted to. Like he had an impact. So just because he left here, left there, doesn't knock his legacy. It's like if you're knocking him, MJ stayed. If MJ played in today's NBA, he would not be on the Chicago Bulls. Like if people are like, oh, what do you mean? Like because the reality is, hey, he stayed with Chicago because he wanted to stay in Chicago. That's fine. That's him. That's great. We've seen look at Stockton play his whole career in Utah. Hey, that's great.
Awesome. Good
great
for you guys.
But you're just a guy who, top. You're an NBA Hall of Famer, but you don't have a ring. It's like if he really, because maybe John didn't want a ring. I don't know.
Like I know I'm definitely in the minority of this one, but I don't even care that KD went to the Warriors. It took away a ring from my team. I get it, but just as like a sports fan, I don't care.
It doesn't, and even with that, I never had a problem with you. Like, oh, well, you went to. So what? It's like he went to a place. I never saw. Oh, he's chasing the ring. Why? I think the reason why people have the problem is because once again, a lot of people are not big KD fans, and then him going to at that time people considered like a dynasty in Golden State. Like, oh, well, that's not fair. Well, look, KD going there. The only people who were upset are those who felt like whether it's Oklahoma City or anywhere or what those people they can be upset, but the reality is he went to a place, they won a championship, they had a good run. What did he owe? That's bothered me for years. Like, what did he owe?
Not owe them anything.
It's
that
like
sucks to say, but he doesn't.
It's again, you're right. It's really bad to say, but it's reality. What does he owe? He did the best. Sometimes, hey, you can only do so much at one place where you're just kind of like you reach that ceiling where it's kind of like tapped. So but before we go down the rabbit hole, which we kind of did, which I always love going down the rabbit hole. Who do you see? Because probably the next time we probably have you on here, hopefully you'll come back on.
Always.
Who do you kind of see? Who do you see in the finals? And if you're bold, which I know you are, who wins? Who's hoisting up that big Larry O'Brien trophy?
Oof. You know who I would like to see? Well, one, obviously the Cavs. That'd be awesome to see, but
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to win. I would like to see the Timberwolves or the Thunder.
That would be good.
I feel like it's a little different than what we're used to. Pretty fun, two really exciting young teams, and I think that would be a really good place for the NBA to sort of transition, because that's what we're doing right now, past like LeBron and Steph and KD, which are all great and still doing really great things, but their team isn't helping them like they used to. So having these young guys go in there and step up and give us something new, I think would be really exciting to see. Like Anthony Edwards, super exciting.
Yeah.
SGA, awesome. Like those are two great teams, and I hope we get to watch them play against one another. At least that.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned that, because especially Anthony Edwards, like if you didn't believe this guy's a superstar, like if you haven't watched the playoffs, then that guy's a bona fide. We already know about SGA. We got Luka.
I mean, I like Luka too. I just forget about the Mavs sometimes.
Listen, they forget. They are kind of pretty.
I mean, they're good until it like gets to now, and then something happens and off they go. So
yes, like the wheels kind of fall off toward the finish line somehow. Sticking kind of transitioning to the NBA here. Speaking of wheels falling off, seems the NFL draft tried to put the wheels back on in the draft. And simply put, just your thoughts on the draft, your thoughts on the quarterbacks, what any team surprised you, any team kind of missed out on getting something that you felt needed, just your thoughts on the draft.
Well, I mean, it's just a topic that everyone's talking about. The Falcons, that was crazy.
Oh, no, wait. I know what you're talking about. Nope.
Right, we don't know.
We don't know.
Nope.
Everybody wears this. Don't worry about it, folks.
The Falcons, that was crazy.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
No. Listen, I've got people came to me like I work with a team, and literally I heard inklings, but I'm like, we're really not going to go with Penix, right? Like we're going Dallas Turner, we're going with Lodge, we're going defense, right? Like even my whole theory is this.
Maybe
I don't
know.
Right, like I don't want to take away time. I'll just be real quick. I heard the Penix rumor, like. I'm like, we surely can't. Like, I understand.
Surely can.
Like, surely, I'm like, okay, I get Kurt. They come into injury, but we get the guy $100 million guaranteed.
So he should be playing.
Yeah, and then when I watched it and heard them, I'm like, oh great, we're gonna go. I'd have been like, oh, we're gonna trade out and trade down, and maybe somebody like Las Vegas or somebody's gonna trade up and get and maybe they'll get Penix. And I'm like, and then we can load up, And then even Penix, when they cut to him, he even looked shocked. He didn't even know, because
yeah. So I think the pick was crazy, but I don't think. I mean, I think Kirk Cousins is going to be fine.
Yeah,
but the pick is just a little wild.
Yeah, it's. I don't think, and I justify it with this. If the justification is, we look at Kurt, and we're like, okay, he's got 2 years, he's there. Penix is going to sit on the bench. And you kind of develop them.
Sure.
And that part, and I heard people saying this, and I'm like, okay. And but it's like, but in the back of my mind, I go like this: if we weren't going to go get Turner, or if we weren't going defense, like if we saw value somewhere else, trade out of that pick, because
you could have got him later.
Right, because I felt like. As great, I felt like Penix was maybe the third best quarterback. I get it, but it's like from what I read, he had it was like a top 30, top 40 visit with the team. Like didn't think nothing of it. Didn't, I heard inklings like, oh, they might go Penix here, and I'm like, I hope not, because we just gave a guy $100 million, and I get like, oh well, the quarterback class, like I get that, but to me. I look at it, if they're thinking long term, this is where I say this. It has to hit. We won't know if this pick truly is successful until like maybe 2 years from down the road, and that's the part. Like we could have got a guy.
He's also going to be like 27.
Yeah,
not like that's a big deal, but like a 27-year-old just starting out. It's like when the Browns drafted Brandon Whedon at 28.
Yeah, it's like, wait, how is this like? It's like we don't talk like downing age, but in reality, we're talking about quarterbacks. It's like So you telling me the guy we just drafted may not see the field?
Also has had what, two ACL surgeries?
Yeah, and it's like it's the definition of the clear risk versus reward.
Yeah.
Like I understand what we did, but to me, if this and they had to come out and say, "Oh, there's no quarterback controversy," I'm like, it shouldn't have been a conversation, but it had to be because like, oh well, they're gonna. And then Kurt didn't really know. It's like the one guy in the room who should kind of know you're getting a quarterback didn't know. Like he kind of figured the same thing as I did, and other fans. It's like maybe they're gonna go defense. We're gonna because last year we just had a coach who I'm not gonna get into that either, but we could have added some defense. Even we got a receiver like O'Doones. I'd have been fine with that. Or we get a wide receiver too. I'd have been fine with that. I literally the only pick that I would have been head scratching on was quarterback. I would have even a kicker if it's like Sebastian, Jowski 2.0 kicking 70-yarders, as a whatever. I'm like I'd accepted that.
Yeah.
But it's like with Penix, I like the kid. I like him, but it's just I'm just curious to know what the Falcons were offered. Because I'm assuming teams wanted to trade up to that spot. And if we're talking a swap of first in this draft, and we're talking potential first round into listen, Atlanta may not have picks with this whole Kirk, Cousins nonsense. So we might not have draft capital next year. So I'm thinking, well, we're going to think ahead, trade down, get the best defensive player on the board, whoever that is, whether it's Turner, whether it's Latu, and we're great. But
and now we have extra quarterback.
And then I see Terry Fontenot and Raheem Moore sitting up there, like trying to justify the pick because both of them had to sign off on it. So, and it was funny seeing Fontenot trying to talk to Arthur, trying to do this and trying to talk to him like he's trying to save his job. Like Art, like look, like even Arthur, like listen, I know Arthur, like maybe not this sometimes, but even he was like, it's like, listen, I want you guys to own, listen, I'm just gonna stand back, but
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's like it's all I know is this: he'll be the only first round quarterback not to start this season. I know it's like on FanDuel, it's like I know it's gonna be like the odds are mega, but he's not starting this season. Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix, and that Jesus Christ. Like, I don't want to get that Denver situation.
I don't even want to go down that road too. That quarterback room is
it's bad. I saw the names and I'm like, okay,
not one that's good.
Zach Wilson, Ben DiNucci. I didn't know he was still in the league. Like last I heard he was with Dallas, and I'm like, oh, it's literally. I'll say this when we turned. I literally had the same thought when it came to Aroldis Chapman, where I had no idea my guy was with the Pirates until I saw him get ejected from a game against I think it was the Mets.
He did. Yeah, he did.
I'm like, wait, I thought he was out of the league. Like,
nope, certainly still there.
It's like I didn't know. It's like I didn't know he existed. If you put that on Jeopardy, a show that I love to watch, and put like Aroldis, where do they play? You put Aroldis Chapman. I'm like,
not Pirates.
I'm like, wait, Ken, come here. He's out of the league, right? This is the trick. He's not after what he. Okay, all right.
I'm still there.
I'm not Manfred. I don't. But now going to baseball. We'll just be brief. We're not going to go super deep because we don't want to jinx our teams. So, Guardians leading the AL. Basically, every team in there is good except the White Sox. I think.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know what's going on. It's crazy.
It's, being a Cubs fan, I'm like, man, it's easy to revel, but it's like something's really wrong there. And on the, I don't know what it is. Like, I think they're on pace to lose. I forgot what I saw. It was like they're on pace to lose like 100. It was more than 120 games. That I know. And it's like the Cubs fan in me goes, yeah, but the baseball fan in me goes, ugh.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good for the audience. It's not good to grow the game. Like, if you're that, at least be a little competitive. They're not even really competitive. I mean, Tommy Pham seems to be like reviving the team somehow right now, but that's not enough because they still lose. Like they had today. I was watching today because they were playing
Mhm.
the Twins, and I'm like, just please beat the Twins. Just please beat the Twins. Just one time, please. The Twins had the bases loaded. I think there was 2 outs in a week. Like I'm telling you, so weak of a ground ball goes to the shortstop right between his legs, and they score. Like you guys got to be kidding me. You couldn't have gotten out of that.
Like, all right, we got it, guys. We're going to turn 2, right? Yeah, we got it. It's
Like
it's bad.
it's really bad. It's
It's-
really, really bad.
It's it's awful to watch. First and foremost, it's just like, to your point, it's just like watching it. It's like, listen, I know being a Cubs fan, I'm supposed to like revel in it, but I'm like, not
Like this kind of just sucks for
Like, this is
everybody
just-
involved.
this is just bad. Like it's kind of like how the best way to equate is like, it's like you see someone like you like even like you wouldn't want them on your worst enemy. Like how bad they are. Like, listen, it's awful.
Yeah. Like they scored 5 runs against us in the first inning when we played them here, and we somehow beat them by like 4 runs. So, like,
What just happened? I think they just scored 5 runs when you went to the concession stand. I think they scored a couple of runs.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's bad. Like I said, Cubs. It's when I look at the Guardians, and when I've talked about this, it's like, given the injuries, like Shane Bieber's a huge loss.
For sure.
And I like, to me, I think I talked to you about it, or I just stood outside and talked to somebody about it. I don't know. Outside my house, hey, Tristan McKenzie, what are you talking about? Go to bed. I'm like, I like him. Like Steven, I like, of course, Jose Ramirez and these guys.
Yeah, we got a group of like cute little wholesome, nice men on that team, and then Josh Naylor.
And then Josh. Dot.
Josh Naylor, awesome, but like crazy.
Yeah, it's like, would you be alone in a room with him? No.
He's a little crazy. Did you see when he like hit his head with his bat after he hit a home run? Yeah,
I'm like,
love him, but you are a crazy man.
Is that safe? I don't think it
No,
is.
probably a little concussion.
Listen, I'm not a doctor, but that's I never play. Listen, I played baseball. That's not how you.
Whatever. Just keep hitting home runs. That's all I'm asking for.
Right. Just like make sure he gets to home plate. He hits. What about the concussion? We'll get it.
We'll figure it out.
We got a doctor here. We got all the things he needs. Just hit the ball. Just put it in play. We'll figure it out. So that's why I say I like seeing them succeed. Chicago. It's just something about seeing, to me, like on a personal level, seeing Cleveland and Chicago succeeding. I don't know why. I guess it's the World Series thing that just rings in my head.
Yeah.
And like, I told somebody I shouldn't even feel bad. It's like, I do, because that was a great World Series.
I hated it. I'll never watch it again.
I'm never.
Like I've never watched it. I've never watched a replay. I've never watched a single. I can't do it.
Not 1 minute.
I won't do it. I will have a breakdown, I think. I'm happy for you. Like, congrats. I hope that you had a great time, but that was one of the worst moments that I've ever seen.
I hope you. Hey, hope you're living life. Me, I'm not.
I'm never gonna see another championship in my sports fandom. I don't think I will. Like that 2016 Cavs was one of the best ever, and I don't think we're ever gonna get something like that here again.
I mean, I felt like being a Falcons fan before we put a button on it. After, I always say this, like after 20-3, we were never the same franchise. It did something mentally. Like, I don't know what happened. When you're up 25 points in the biggest game, millions of people are watching you. And I mean, that's like literally blowing like a 10-11 run lead in the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah.
And with your closer on the mound, and somehow or another they end up scoring 12 runs. Like, that to me is like the baseball equivalent.
Right, just like get a stop, get an out, do something.
Let's like for goodness sakes, just
do something.
Like, I don't care. If you have to hit the guy, to get a ground or double play, I don't care what we do. And that's how I kind of felt with the Falcons. Just do something because
different than that.
different because after that third quarter touchdown, it all went downhill, and then Brady was Brady, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I was watching at home, and I'm like, I don't like where this is going. I never felt comfortable, even with the 20-3 lead, even because of the other guy on the sidelines. That's why I don't feel comfortable. Like if there's like very very few quarterbacks where I go, okay, I feel great. Not with Tom Brady, not with time left in this game, and then to lose in overtime. That I think at that point I'm like I think we folded. We folded the towel. We stopped doing. We started playing conservative, and that to me, like I said, that's a whole rabbit hole thing for me. It's like I like Kyle
Yeah.
Shanahan, but I need to know what happened in that locker room at halftime, because just tell them keep doing what we're doing. Kyle, that's literally all you had to say. Oh, let's try to do Kyle. It's 20-3, Kyle. Let's
Do something.
do something, my guy. It's like, well, we're always in on a high note for the show. I guess we talked about the Guardian, the World Series for you, and then the Super Bowl for me. Always in on a high note, kids. Just journalism / sports 101. Always in the show on a high note. But Gabb, thank you so much for coming on. I always love having you on. I know if I kept you on too long, I apologize.
God, I got nothing to do until 8 p.m.
So before we get out of here, let all the amazing people know where they can find you and all your amazing stuff.
Okay, you guys can find me, and this is every single platform, whatever social media you want to go on, at Gabb Goudy, GABBGOUDY. Same thing across all the platforms. I'll be there. I'll be yapping about my teams, probably argue with someone. You might be entertained, you might not be. We'll just have to see.
Listen, yeah, listen, I for one am absolutely entertained. So especially when you go after the dudes. Like I'll say this before we go. We go after the dudes who just look.
Just a little grumpy,
Yeah, a little like. Did you have to put like? It's like you can all when they say the quiet part out loud. No, you just say the quiet part a little bit quieter. Means
yeah.
You don't have to talk. And I sometimes I go through because it pops up on my feed, and I just read some of the comments on what people post, like on some of your posts, and I just go. Like
I kind of love it at this point.
It's like to me it's hilarious because to me the people who criticize you, they follow you, and like when they say, oh, I don't like her because my God,
why are you still here?
Obviously, listen, it's like I want to leave this party, but you're staying at that party for a reason. Like
right.
if the party was so bad, my guy, you would have Uber, Lyfted, or whatever you did to get out of there, but you're still here. That's how I feel. But once again, Gabb, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
And folks, you can like and listen to this episode and every episode of the Sports on the World podcast. Apple, Spotify, wherever you can get it and listen. Follow me with at LaDarius_Brown on Twitter and on TikTok. It's LaDarius _Brown on Instagram. That's still along somebody's another me. I've been fighting that uphill battle for years, but folks, until you hear or see me again, I'm LaDarius. Be real, be you, and be blessed with all of you from the Sports and the World podcast. And thanks for tuning in.